From 2019, Arrow Home Video has released, it's actually two films, but predominantly we're going to talk about a film called Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway. This is a film from director Miguel Llanso, and it's very unusual. As I said, there are two films on this set, which I didn't know when I popped it in. Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway, and a film from 2015 that he's known for called Crumbs. So, Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway. Very strange. This felt to me like a mix of, let's say, The Greasy Strangler and Inception or something like that. You have this small man, they call him a dwarf in the film, small man from Ethiopia who is part of this elite government team who sort of goes into the VR world to fight a Russian virus. And in the VR world, everybody sort of moves herky-jerky like human stop motion. I think it is human stop motion. And they all have these paper or magazine face cutouts. And his is like late period Richard Pryor. And the Russian virus they're trying to fight looks like Joseph Stalin, but with like an Irish or Scottish accent, which is strange. Everybody in the film is dubbed into English. Everybody has a strange, incongruous accent. The performances are very kind of ironic for the most part, and it's a comedy, but it's just weird, and it goes on. For me, it went on a lot longer than I was enjoying. For me, the whole thing was kind of tedious. It's this guy who's in the VR world, and something goes wrong while he's in the VR world, and he goes into a coma. So his brain is active in this other world that he's trying to fight crime in, whereas in the real world, things are still going on. They're questioning whether to pull the plug on him or not. He's this guy who's a secret agent who loves pizza and dreams of opening a pizza truck, and his wife dreams of opening a kickboxing school, and there's all kinds of weirdness going on throughout the whole thing. And it was, I don't want to say it was too weird for me, but it was a little aggressively quirky for me. I just, like a recent Arrow release, Lake Michigan Monster, I felt like as a short film, like as a much shorter film, this probably would have worked better for me personally. But at the length that it was, I just lost interest because I'm like, okay, yeah, it's weird, it's silly, and the president of this country looks like Batman and has kung fu minions and all this other stuff, and it's just, I didn't personally care for it. So I told you that story to tell you this one. So it was very strange, and I didn't really watch too much of the extras. I watched a little of the extras because they do have a critical analysis of the film and the work of the filmmaker, and some other supplementary stuff that sort of tells you a bit about who this guy is and what he does and about this movie's circumstances, and a bit of an analysis about it. Disc 2 is a whole other film, which I was really on the edge of not bothering to watch, to the degree that I didn't like Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway. I'm like, do I really want to sit through another hour and a half of this sort of thing? But I said, for the sake of the show, for the sake of the review, why not? If I don't like it, I'll turn it off, and I'll say so. So this film called Crumbs from 2015 stars the same little person from Ethiopia. But I believe this film was shot entirely in Ethiopia. I think most of this director's films are actually shot in Ethiopia, though he's from Spain, I believe. And I really liked this one. Like, never have I watched somebody's work and disliked it so much and then given something else of theirs a shot and had the total opposite reaction to it. Crumbs, I thought, was fascinating and really, really well done. So you have this little person and his wife, and it's this weird post-apocalyptic world where there's this satellite or spaceship floating in the sky that's sort of derelict, but suddenly it turns on, and he believes that he and his wife, or at least he, are of that other alien race, and they need to get to a certain place to get a certain thing so that they can be so they can be taken up and taken away from this barren, diseased, deserted, barely functional world anymore. And a lot of it is it's Mad Max X, where people have objects that we would look at and be amused by. It's like, oh, it's a copy of a Michael Jackson record, but to them it's like this holy totem thing. Sometimes that bugs me in a movie, but it didn't in this. This seemed really sincere. I mean, it's humorous at times, but for the most part, I just got sucked into this world, and the landscapes that look somewhat foreign to us, or you think of Ethiopia as a certain thing if you're from this country and not very well informed like me, and then you see it on screen and you're like, my God, these landscapes are astounding and beautiful, and the main actor gives a really good performance, and I didn't get much of that from Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway because that was so silly and such a throwaway. I didn't know that this guy was capable of giving a really good performance because the visuals were so silly and the dubbing was so silly. But here you hear everybody with sync sound, their natural voices. And it's just really well done and really sincere and a cool, post-apocalyptic sci-fi kind of film with sort of an undercurrent of sadness throughout the whole thing. You see these old men who are still doing things that they always did. He comes upon a diesel locomotive, and there's an old guy in there who just basically runs it back and forth up and down a track or something because there's nothing to do. He goes into a movie theater, and this old man is running a 35 millimeter print of what appears to be the Turkish Superman, and he just, to an empty crowd, it's all he knows how to do. He's sort of a ghost of the past doing his thing over and over again. So for me, Crumbs was really quite good and makes up for how much I didn't like the other films. So this is one of those sets where I'm like, if you're curious about these movies, be sure to watch both. But also, if you watch the first film and you don't care for it, absolutely give a shot to Crumbs, because Crumbs, I think this director is actually kind of known for this movie, and I can see why. So again, this is the kind of thing that I would have liked to have seen in the theater if we had theaters that were open right now showing really challenging and unusual stuff. Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway, available now from Arrow Home Video on Blu-ray.